Alright, guys. I needed some time to process that episode. I'm still not over the fact that Lyanna Mormont is dead. At the end, in the commentary of episode 2, I said that I needed Lyanna to die or else I was going to riot. And I didn't riot, I wound up just sobbing. But yeah, I really wanted her to live, and I'm so sad that she's gone. I know that a lot of people were not happy with this episode or with the ending in general. And I'm going to get through that first because I actually really, really enjoyed the episode as a whole. And we'll get through that first because, yeah, a friend of mine was disappointed that Jaime or Jon didn't fight the Night King. And I understand that a little bit. I feel like some people felt like they were building towards Jon fighting the Night King for so long. And then they just kind of didn't have it happen. But actually, my dad actually made a good point. He watched the episode 2 a couple of days after I did, and he said that it reminded him of this movie Troy, which came out like 15 years ago, so spoilers for that, where Orlando Bloom kills Achilles, and he's just like, that's the last person you expect to do it, but he's like the weak person, the one who's like the person that's not expected to do it, but he's the one who winds up doing it. And he felt like the same way with Arya. Not that she's weak, but that she's like not the person that's expected to do it, and that's what makes it a good twist, a good story, a good feeling to the story. And I can understand a lot of people were talking about how the lore regarding this episode was like very dodgy, and I can understand that. I do feel like the show has gone less lore heavy and more character heavy since the directors ran out of book material to cover, which makes sense. A lot of people are saying like Azor Ahai, the prince that was promised, or the princess that was promised, like what happened to that? And I don't really have an answer to that, unless you can stretch the idea of prince or princess to Arya. Like, is she a princess? I guess she was sister to the King of the North, or actually, she's cousin to the rightful heir to the throne. So that, I guess that makes her a princess. But I actually found out after this episode that the Night King doesn't even exist in the books. Like, what? So at this point, I really love the lore because it was very, very well written and everything like that, but it's not as present in season 6 and 7. So, but there are a lot of other things to love about this series. So I'm just kind of like, all right, we'll get back to the lore when the books come out or when I read the books. And for now, I'm just gonna enjoy the series for what it is. And yeah, what it is right now is just character heavy, relationship heavy, and just the spectacle of it. It's very Hollywood, and I like it. I like it like that. Yeah. When I start reading the books, we'll see what the lore is like. I'm actually thinking of reading it like slowly and rewatching the episodes alongside it. Maybe do a retrospective series when I watch. I'll talk about it and the books and the differences and stuff like that. And I also just found out there are inside the episode videos for every single episode, so a lot of stuff to do even after Game of Thrones has wrapped. I'm looking forward to watching those. But yeah, if people believe that there are huge plot holes in this episode, maybe there are. I don't know that I personally see Arya being Azor Ahai being a huge plot hole. And even if it is, you just kind of have to ignore them, in my opinion. Like, for me, I just choose to ignore them. You don't have to, but I choose to do that. Because even like the best forms of fiction where with these wide, huge stories, like there are going to be plot holes somewhere. It's too hard to avoid all of them. The biggest one to me that always stood out was in Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban. Probably my favorite Harry Potter book. Like there was a pretty huge plot hole in that, but I still loved it. Spoilers for this, but when they capture Peter Pettigrew, they don't actually stun him or anything. They just like tell him he's a prisoner, and they walk along with him. He could have just turned into a rat at any point. They could have stupefied him. They could have done anything, but no, they just let him run away essentially. So that was a huge plot hole to me. But I'm still one of my favorite books. So that's the way I feel about most fiction. Like it's just too hard to cover all the plot holes possible. It's not to say they're like exempt from criticism, but I let it slide because for my own enjoyment of the thing. That reminds me, I was talking about Hogwarts, Harry Potter. I sorted myself into Hogwarts houses over on Patreon, but forgot to post that video here. It's been like 2 months or 3 months. I think I'll do that today, later today. The only real thing that bothered me this episode was the use of the Dothraki. It felt like a little too convenient. It was like a way to weaken Daenerys, because there was no way that was ever going to work, just charging straight at the Night King or the whites, the darkness. Like, that's not what cavalry is used for. And like, they couldn't see, it just didn't make any sense for them to charge out. They could have used, like, at least in the Battle of the Bastards, Jon had a reason to ride out, but they had no reason to ride out. Like, they were never going to defeat anybody like that. So that really bothered me. Other than that, the rest of the episode, there's some dodgy logic, but it was all in favor of like upping the emotional intensity, upping the emotional aspects of it, and just contributing to the suffocating feel of the episode. And yeah, I do feel like the Dothraki could have flanked the dead when they came, but it is what it is. But yeah, this episode started with Sam trembling, like he's the proxy for us, the viewers. I desperately wanted him to go to the crypts. I didn't think he'd be able to hack it out in the field. I was afraid he was going to die, but he actually held his own for the most part, except for when Ed died because of him. Ed had to save him, and then that was the first death of this episode, and it was kind of pretty sad. But later on, Sam, you can see him. He's like tired or something. He's just lying in a pile of bodies and like stabbing everybody. That was really funny. In a moment of in all this chaos, that was like a moment where I like genuinely laughed. But yeah, the pacing of this episode was incredible, building up tension. We had like 5 to 10 minutes before the battle even started where it was just like very silent and yeah, building up tension. And I actually appreciate how dark the episode was for the most part. Unlike a lot of people were complaining about it, but I actually appreciate it. Like, you couldn't tell what was happening at some points. You couldn't tell who was dying, who was getting hurt, and that actually, I appreciated that because that made me feel like, oh, like it made me more not invested but more on edge about what was happening. The one part where I feel like the show was trying to tell us what was happening, but it was actually too dark. Like, they wanted us to know who was getting hurt in the dragon fight between Rhaegal and Viserion, but I couldn't tell. Like, until Jon fell off Rhaegal, I couldn't tell who was falling, which dragon had fallen to the ground. So yeah, that was. I feel like they meant for us to know what was happening in that dragon fight, and I wasn't completely sure. I didn't even actually see the flesh being ripped off of Viserion's cheek or whatever. But yeah, for the rest of the battle, the darkness worked really well. And then, yeah, well, back to, earlier in the episode, I want to go in chronological order, but I'm kind of jumping all over the place. Melisandre comes and lights all those swords, and yeah, I didn't think. I was saying that she might come. I thought she might come at near the end of the episode as like a Deus Ex Machina to save everything, but I guess they've done that too many times, and that was what was expected. So they did. She came at the beginning, and she definitely. I feel like she said she was going to Volantis, and I thought she might be bringing back a weapon or something, but I think she just got powered up. No clue how that works with the lore. Like, how did she get? We've never seen that level of firepower on anybody, so. Yeah, I think she might have just gotten powered up. Don't know how that works, but it's pretty cool. And I feel like, yeah, even with the Dothraki not acting the way I feel like cavalry should, I feel like that was a very good way to set up this feeling of hope. Like, oh, everybody just got fire Aurochs, and immediately snuffed out. Like, immediately everybody was smiling when the fire went on, and then everybody was like immediately like, holy crap, like this is wow. Like, it contributed to the feeling of hopelessness. Yeah, and then Melisandre later, she lights the trench. That was really cool, and I appreciate. I said in the episode that I think the Lord of Light was just waiting until the very last moment to do that, to light the fire so that it killed as many whites as possible. But yeah, I think Melisandre's role was actually over after that. But I appreciate that she stayed alive until the end so that she could die at the end. But yeah, she's. When she saw Arya earlier in the episode, I was just like, oh, like that reminded me of the conversation they've had, and how Arya was going to close eyes, and I didn't remember the exact quote, but I was like, I remember what's happening. This is going to be very cool. But yeah, Arya, she gives Sansa this dragonglass dagger, and tells her to go to the crypts, and it's a great callback to season 1 episode. I believe it's episode 1 when Jon gives Arya the needle. And he's like, oh, do you know how to use it? And I forget who says it, like Jon or Arya says like, oh, stick them with the pointy end. I think Jon says it, and Arya's like, oh, I know how to do it. Like, what? yeah, that's what she says, what Arya says to Sansa. And it feels like it was set up but never really paid off. She never gets to actually use it. But yeah, in the crypts, the Starks come back to life, and I thought there might be a little more of a battle down there, but I guess nobody was really capable of. Everybody who's capable of fighting is already above ground. The crypts, that was kind of terrifying. I thought actually, I was speaking about how the darkness made it hard to see what was happening, but I actually thought that Gilly was like taken, like the first person taken in the crypts, and I wasn't completely sure about that. And there was another scene in the crypts that stood out to me. Some people thought that when Sansa took out the dragonglass dagger, that she was like contemplating suicide, and that didn't occur to me at all. Like it didn't make that. I'm not saying you guys are wrong, but that wasn't the last thing on my mind. I thought she was just like getting up, like because the very next scene you see of her and Tyrion are them getting up and like running to the other people in the crypts, and yeah, it's interesting that we never saw her use it. But yeah, sorry guys. The White Walkers bringing winter with them was a great strategy because it covers visibility so much, and the White Walkers don't care about visibility. They can kill whatever and it doesn't matter. Meanwhile, Daenerys can't even have her dragons breathe fire because she'd be risking killing her own men. So great strategy there. Yeah, and if it wasn't for Melisandre, they might have gotten rolled over with the trench thing. A lot of the Unsullied died just holding off the retreat for everybody. That was really rough. So Daenerys is basically, she has no army left, essentially. She spent 6 seasons getting the Unsullied, the Dothraki, and now most of them are gone. One more thing about Melisandre. That after the fire was lit, the fire reflecting in her eyes was such a great shot. Another great shot was when the dragons were up in the air and fighting. It was just like a moment of peace and tranquility up in the air above the clouds. You can't sense any of the chaos down below. Yeah, but then the battle between Rhaegal and the Night King, or Rhaegal and Viserion, was really, really cool. Again, it was hard to see, but eventually the Night King fell to the ground and Daenerys Dracarys all over him. Didn't work. But yeah, another thing with the Night King not existing in the books, it feels like the White Walkers don't really have any personality, and the Night King does. He showed his first bit of personality. He smiled. He freaking smiled when the Dragonfire didn't work. I'm glad Drogon wasn't hit with that ice spear. That would have been really bad. But yeah, after that, Jon runs to trying to get to Bran, and it makes sense what he's doing. It was just he sees all of his friends basically struggling with this fight, but he knows Bran is the most important thing, and he has to kind of ignore all of them, which is kind of sad, but like it's the right thing to do at the moment. Unfortunately, he doesn't actually get to the Night King, but yeah, I felt it was really funny when Jon was just like, "Let me get out of cover and yell at this dragon." I've seen some people say that Jon is actually getting up and yelling "Go!" That Arya was trying to get to the Godswood and Viserion was blocking it, and he gets up to distract Viserion. And I could buy that. I don't know that it's Jon doesn't know that it's not necessary. Like Arya is perfectly capable of sneaking around and doing it on her own, but it makes some sense. When I went back and edited, I could hear him saying the word. It sounded a lot like "go," like "go, go." Yeah, it sounded a lot like that. I don't know. I'm not sure about it. It'd be kind of cool, but kind of yeah. But yeah, there's so much going on in this episode. The Night King raising all the dead again. You know what? I've skipped over so much stuff because there's just I'm branching all over the place because there's just so much to talk about. Lyanna dying was horrible. But her seeing her get smacked, I thought she was gone. I thought she was a goner at that moment. I was like, you can't have her die that unceremoniously. But she gets back up and takes down that dragon. Not dragon, giant. But the giant picking her up and crunching her bones, the sound of that, it hurt so much to watch because she's one of my favorite characters and they just murdered her. I'm so sad. Oh, just thinking about it just makes me sad. But yeah, who else died? So many other people. Beric and the Hound. Basically, so the Hound the Lord of Light still had plans for the Hound. and it still had plans for Beric, and it turns out their purpose was the same, to save Arya. And yeah, I really love that scene, that scene with Arya sneaking through the library. That was really, really cool. Yeah, she was just sneaking around trying to get away from them, and it's amazing how silent she is. Like when she's under that table and she's like several drops of blood are dropping, the whites heard the blood dropping. Like that's, their hearing is so good, but they didn't hear her like sneaking around, sliding, running. Like that's how silent she is and how good she is at hiding and sneaking. So that's a big part of what they set up for her killing the Night King later. Unfortunately, she had to close that door, and it alerted everybody. That was bad. But that kill right before she does that, where she turns the corner and that white is right there, and she stabs it right through here. That was really great. Didn't see that coming. I thought for a second that she had gotten hurt. It wasn't until like she pulled out the knife that I was like, oh, okay, thank God. And yeah, that was really cool. That was a really great shot with the mouth dropping and the blood pouring out. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, Beric and the Hound managed to save her. Beric holds the door, like the T-pose, like holding back all the whites. His best impression of Hodor. I'm actually, the one thing I'm very surprised about, I thought for sure Hodor would be coming back as a white this episode, or at some point, and that's not the case, I guess. I'm not disappointed anyway. I just thought that was going to be like the big, huge, emotional moment. Never happened. It's okay though. Yeah, a lot less characters died in this episode than I thought they would, but some of them were brutal. Ed, like I said before, my daughter, Lyanna Mormont. I went to some of my friends after Lyanna Mormont's like first scene. I'm just like, I'm adopting her, like. And there were reactions where like, oh, laughing at me, or like, oh, haha, if she even let you adopt him, and I'm like, oh, that's true. She doesn't need a father figure. Beric died. I'm surprised after he got stabbed all those times that he actually made it out the door, but yeah. At that point, when Melisandre's like, oh, he's finally served his purpose, I realized that, oh yeah, like Arya might be the one to kill the Night King. Like I asked that in the reaction. I was just like wondering out loud, like, is she the one going to do that? Somebody actually like accused me of like looking up spoilers for this episode because of that. I'm just like, what? Like, why would I spoil myself now, like so close to the end of the series, and I'm already all caught up? Like, it just made no sense. That's loud. For preventing me from thinking. But yeah, I did think Arya was gonna kill the Night King at that point, but then the episode was just so hectic, like bodies falling, everything was just so hectic that I had forgotten my theory about Arya later on in the episode, and I think it was like after like 15 minutes after Arya disappeared, I was just like, oh yeah, like what happened to Arya? And then by the end of the episode, where Bran is already just like sitting there, like the Night King is right in front of him, I had forgotten about her and everything else. I was just like, oh right, it's over. What I said was like, no one's here, it's over. And a lot of you guys are commenting like, you were right, no one was there. And I'm like, oh yeah, haha. But yeah, there's still so much more to talk about. Theon, he's doing a great job taking down a bunch of whites. Him and the rest of the crew there, the Greyjoy's crew. And Bran tells him he's a good man. And I don't know what the motivation behind that was. Like, is there a piece of Bran left in there who was just like, oh yeah, he wants Theon to know that he forgives him and that he's a good person. But or it could actually be the three-eyed raven telling him that, and that would be pretty significant as well. An all-knowing, almost all-knowing being, or someone who has observed history, almost all, as much history as he has, and telling Theon that he's a good man. That's pretty powerful. I thought for a second Theon was gonna kill the Night King. Honestly, like I didn't think he was going to kill him with a spear. I thought he was going to die killing the Night King. I thought the spear went through him. I was like, you have to have one last weapon in your pocket somewhere. Some dragon glass, something. But no luck there. Theon falls to the ground. And he thinks he's failed Bran. Like, his dying thought is like, oh, I failed. Bran is gonna die. He has no idea that Arya was there and that he thought he died for nothing. Essentially, it's really sad. It's a huge. I don't know if this is like his redemptive moment. I feel like he's already been redeemed, but if he ever needed more redeeming, this was it, and he carried it out very well. I do feel bad for him. He was one of not a favorite character, but he was someone whose journey I really appreciated, and I'm sad he's gone. Yeah, and then, jeez, there's so much to talk about in this episode. Jon was trying to get to the Night King, and Night King raises everybody. That was a very good scene. The Night King clearly didn't want to engage with Jon, or anybody. I'm guessing anybody who had Valyrian steel. He just didn't want to engage with them because what was the point of putting himself in danger? I don't know exactly why he couldn't have just sent whites to kill kill Bran. He had to do it himself for some reason, but like I understand. Otherwise, there was like there's no winning. Like they had, I guess the point of the story is that the humans win, so they couldn't have had him send just like they couldn't have had him like chilling in the north while everybody took care of everything. So it's all right. But yeah, Drogon. Daenerys saves Jon by breathing fire on all the whites that are surrounding him, and I don't like that she landed and got swarmed by a bunch of whites. Drogon actually shook her off while trying to shake off all the whites, and that's pretty terrifying. Bodies started raining, and yeah, Jorah was the only reason that Daenerys survived. And oh my god, Jorah, his death hit me hard too. But yeah, he died saving Daenerys, which if there was a way he was gonna die, that was the way. If he was he had to go, that was the way he was gonna go. That's the best death we could have asked for on his behalf. And yeah, really sad about that. Now House Mormont, unless I think House Mormont is wiped out. I don't know that there are any Mormonts left. Yeah, Jorah was saying that he wanted Lyanna to stay safe, and she didn't stay safe, and she wished him luck in the battles to come, and he died too. Daenerys crying over his body was horrible. I just couldn't. I don't know. I've been on Jorah's side. I never shipped him with Daenerys. Like, it just the age difference. I'm more of a stickler for age difference among people than some other people are, but yeah, I was just like never comfortable with the idea of them being together. But I always like loved them as like friends and people who trusted each other with their lives and people who loved each other, just not like more platonically. Though I guess if it was platonic, like Jorah would never like Jorah. I feel like his love for Daenerys became platonic after a while. After he realized there was like no chance that was ever going to happen, or I feel like he might have accepted that it was never going to happen in the first place. But anyway. Jorah dying was tough, but let's talk about that ending where, yeah, some people were disappointed about it. I'm more than happy that Arya was the one to do it because, yeah, I feel like they set up the fact that Arya was going to kill the Night King very well. First with the sneakiness in the library, it was just like she's really good sneaking, and she is basically the best killer in the Seven Kingdoms, I believe. Like, I don't like as an assassin. I don't know whose body count is higher, honestly. Like Jon has killed a ton of whites, but Arya, she killed all the Freys pretty easily. I don't know. I don't know what the body count is, but hers is pretty high, and she's been training to be like the best killer in Westeros, in the world, ever since she was a child. I don't think her goal was to like murder people, but like that's who she. Being an assassin is who she is. Oh yeah, I wrote a song about that. Or I didn't write a song. I kind of don't want to sing it now, though. Oh, God. Give me a second, guys. Yeah, I thought of a song. I thought of a parody of a song. And I was going to sing it at the beginning, but now that it's gotten to this point, I kind of don't want to sing it. But that would be extreme. That'd feel like I was teasing you guys too much. God dang, I don't want to do it though. All right. My assassin has a first name, it is Arya. My assassin has a second name, it's Stark. Oh, I love to watch her kill and slay, and if you ask me why, I'll say, 'cause Arya Stark has a way with assassinating. There we go. That last word was never gonna fit in the song, but that's just the way it is. All right. Anyway, that was horrible. That was embarrassing. Okay, now I can't even concentrate anymore because that was so bad. But yeah, the way that last musical score as Theon falls to the ground and the Night King starts coming towards Bran, that was wonderful. On par with the Long Night. I'm not sure. Maybe they're close. They're very, very great. Not the Long Night. The Winds of Winter. Those two songs are very, very cool. Both of them are. And yeah, once the White Walker turned, because something rushed past him, like there was a gust of wind, he like turned, and Arya's like probably too short for, so he just like missed her like going beneath him, and she actually screams when he's jumping. I'm like, come on, are you not an assassin? Like, do it quietly. And I'm sure everybody's reaction to that scene was like, yeah, Arya, no, when she gets caught, it's like, yeah, no, and then yeah, when she finally does the switch that's been set up already, the fact that she's a great killer, it's all set up, and she drops it, boom, that was so great. I started crying again. This episode, just so many tears, so many emotions, and yeah, this is what I think about regarding the lore and stuff. A lot of people are disappointed, but the fact that there were so many moments that made me just bawl like that, and the fact that there was so much adrenaline inside me. I was saying that my scalp was getting itchy, and people were saying like that's adrenaline. I've never had that in any show in my life, and yeah, that was just amazing. This episode is amazing. I am gonna give it a 6.0 out of 6 direwolves out of 6. Though I'm hoping they don't. This show hasn't peaked yet. I'm hoping the last battle somehow tops this. It would take a lot of work though, and I guess shooting it at night might have made it more difficult. I've heard that it took 55 nights to shoot this, and I'm hoping the last battle is even more of a spectacle and even more powerful. But yeah, Arya, I'm so happy she was the one to do it. Yeah, like her story arc is becoming the greatest killer ever, and I kind of felt like after she killed the Freys, like that wasn't enough of a reason to have her gone to Braavos and then coming back. Like I felt like she needed more to her story, and this feels like a great moment. And I can understand a lot of people feeling like, oh, Jon and Daenerys didn't have a lot to do in this episode besides like riding dragons. And like they're the main characters, and I'm very surprised Jaime didn't have a bigger role here. I guess the fact that the reason Jaime came up was to separate him from Cersei. So, because I thought he was gonna have a huge role because Viserion died, so that the South could know what they were facing in the North, and the only person who went up to help was Jaime, and I was just like, he better be worth losing Viserion for. And he kind of was. I don't know. He killed a bunch of whites, but he's not like, it wasn't worth losing Viserion. But yeah, I was surprised at how small some of their roles were, but there's still the battle against Cersei. And yeah, Jon's role has never been truly like murdering people. Like he doesn't like fighting. Arya loves it, so it makes sense that like his role has been like uniting people. He's united Daenerys with the North. He's united the wildlings with people south of the Wall, and that's what he's good at. And yeah, I think that's what would make him a good person to rule. Though I'm still on the fence about who should win the Iron Throne. But it made a lot of sense for me that Arya was the one to do it, and with the Valyrian steel dagger, it's been all talked out at this point, but they set up so much. What's his name? Bran gave the Valyrian steel dagger to Arya in the Godswood, in the same exact location, and Jon and Arya reuniting happened in the Godswood as well, and his first words to her were like, "How did you sneak up on me?" So everything was set up really well, I feel like, and really happy about that. So yeah, Arya, I cried. I cried. So much relief. So in that moment before Arya jumped and came into the shot, I thought, yeah, I think I actually thought they might lose at this point. Yeah, everything was so hectic that I forgot that Arya was still around, and that I had predicted that she was gonna kill him. But yeah, that was great, amazing. And then after that, we see Jorah sink to the ground. He's been stabbed so many times, but his adrenaline, his love for Dany, kept him on his feet. That's so powerful, and so sad he's dead. Melisandre. I love how like consistent Davos is. Like, he didn't kill Melisandre when she came in, but as soon as the battle's over, you see her walking out of Winterfell, and I think he actually has his hand on his sword, like prepared to draw and like take her down. But then he sees her walking out into the snow and falling to the ground and dying. I think those were like some of the like there weren't any words at like the last few minutes of the episode. I think the last words might have been what's his face? Bran saying to Theon, like, "You're a good man, you're home, like you came home," or something like that. Like, afterwards you hear Jon yelling. He might have yelled "go." I think Jorah might have said some words, but those were the last words that you could hear clearly. And the rest of the episode was just pure tension and relief. And then Melisandre dying, I think that was a great way for her to go. I'm guessing that I felt like it was very spoilers for The Last Jedi. I'm gonna give you 5 more seconds for that. 4, 3, 2, 1. It felt a lot like the way Luke Skywalker goes out at the end of The Last Jedi, where he just like uses all his power to be a badass and then just fades out. I felt like that's what happened with Melisandre, and she died who she was without the necklace. Yeah, I've been talking for like 30 something minutes right now, and there's still so much more, I feel like, and I've branched so many different directions that I don't know where I'm going anymore. But yeah, let's get to some. Did I mention the score for this episode already? 6 out of 6 direwolves. Yeah, I know there are definitely some issues I have with the episode, but overall, as a cinematic moment, the way it made me feel, I cannot give this anything less than a perfect score. I said at the end of my reaction that it's very, if it doesn't exceed my favorite television show episode of all time, which is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Self-Control. If it's not above, it's at very least the same. That is also an awesome show. But let me see. Let me check out some comments and questions we've got over on Patreon. Craig asks, now that Sansa and the rest of the North have witnessed Daenerys in action, will they support Daenerys' fight for the throne, or will they let her go south by barely having an army? And here's the thing, like, I feel like Arya had to have her big moment now. Otherwise, it would be too easy for her to kill Cersei. Like, she could just kill somebody. She could kill a knight and go wear their face, kill Qyburn, wear his face, get close to Cersei, kill her. Game over. But I guess the argument against that would also be that Daenerys needs to be the one to do it. Like, you can't. She would just be more of the same if you send an assassin after Daenerys. I mean, after Cersei. So, yeah, if I was Cersei, I would have lined up my troops directly south of Winterfell, and as soon as I knew who won, I would go at them and leave them no time to recuperate, to wait. And if that's really the case, okay, I really appreciate the way they ended the episode with Melisandre. But can you imagine Melisandre falling to the ground, and then immediately the episode ends with Cersei's army walking on screen? That would have been ridiculous. Honestly, scary as hell. I do think the North will support Daenerys' fight for the throne. They know that they owe their lives to her, basically. Arya killed the night. I mean, they owe their lives even more to Arya, but without Daenerys, they would have been wiped out a long time ago. And I'm sure they'll see that Jon was right in recruiting her, because they definitely needed her. And she basically gave up her army for them. Like the Unsullied, she put her army on the front lines. Like the Unsullied were there to protect everybody, and the Dothraki died trying to rush the dead. So the thing is, even with that, like, they had the biggest army of all time, and now they're all gone. I don't know how much of a chance they have against against Cersei. The dragons are basically all they have, and I don't know if maybe Qyburn has done anything that is important. Like, he might have upgraded Scorpion. I don't know. I'm scared of that, basically. I don't know how important the dragons will be in this upcoming battle. Also, because Rhaegal is pretty darn hurt. Drogon's been stabbed like a billion times, but I think he's still okay. Like, it's like getting a bunch of needle pricks for you. Like, it's gonna be really annoying and like painful, but he's still okay. Let's see. Ellie has two things. First one is saying a little bit of a rant. She says, a lot of people are upset with the way the long night concluded, but they largely feel that the show set up the Night King as the villain, and it's absurd that he would be defeated so easily. I strongly disagree with this because I think the threat beyond the wall was actually meant to be a backdrop for how short-sighted and stupid humans are. That is, humans are the real villains. Plus, as awesome as the battle was, and however intriguing the Night King might be, he's pretty much the definition of a one-note villain. And Thrones deals much better in complexity and shades of gray. So I'm thrilled it will seemingly end with a chess game between Sansa, Tyrion, and Cersei Qyburn. Particularly with the fortunes almost completely reversed for Dany and Jon after 6:10. Jon's no longer king in the north. Dany has no army to speak of. Will the remains of the Winterfell soldiers be able to take down Cersei? How far will they go to do it? Will Jon's ancestry play any meaningful role in the outcome, or is it a bit of a red herring? It's interesting because I felt for a long time that Jon and Daenerys, one of them needs to die by the end of the series, just because that's the way this story feels. I don't have a real reason for thinking that. I don't think. I might have discussed. I think I might have had a reason when I discussed it before, but I'm just like, yeah, they're not surviving to the end, both of them. I guess it would just because it would be too much of a happy ending. But yeah, Jon's role as king, I don't know that it matters all that much. I think after this battle, it kind of fades away, that the importance of that. Like, Dany is not going to be that mad at Jon now. Like, it's not going to matter that much to them. They're all going to work together to take down Cersei, and then we'll figure out what happens. I don't know. We'll figure out what happens with them later. Will the remains of the Winterfell fighters be able to take down Cersei? I think we definitely need to see how much of the army is left, though. Honestly, no Dothraki, almost no Dothraki, and almost no Unsullied. We did see a couple of Dothraki come back, but they might have died at the battle too. I'm hoping some of them are still alive, because yikes if they're all dead. They never crossed the Narrow Sea, and then once they did, they just died. That's kind of sad. But I don't know. Winterfell, yeah, they've got... Cersei's army is way too big. Even the Golden Company has 20,000, no elephants, but they still have their own army, the Lannister army. I am worried about that. I think I don't know if I'm not speaking loud enough for you guys, because my throat is kind of tired now after 40 minutes maybe. But yeah, how far will they go to do it? I don't know actually how they're gonna do it. Like, I don't know if Cersei is coming up to the north. That might have been what I'd do. That's probably what I would have done, but maybe there's something even more spectacular that I haven't thought of yet. Maybe their role should be to... You know what I would do? I would evacuate King's Landing and make everybody think that I am sitting in King's Landing. And then with the remaining wildfire, when everybody comes to invade, I'd blow everything up. If I was Cersei. And like ruthless. Like, she has no problem killing ordinary citizens if it means she wins the war. So if I was her and ruthless and heartless, I would evacuate, pretend I'm still there, blow up King's Landing with all the wildfire when everybody comes to invade, and then come back and slaughter whoever else is left. If they do that, that would be ridiculous, and my god. And I think I think Daenerys might might be willing to burn down King's Landing. She might be willing to, especially with the way Cersei betrayed them. My question is, can't she just burn down like the Red Keep? Does she have to like really hurt the citizens that much? I never really understood that too much. Where like, oh, we don't want to become like a conqueror and like burn down King's Landing. Like, you don't have to burn down all of King's Landing. You can just kill Cersei for refusing to fight in the north. But yeah, I don't. I think hopefully I answered that question, those questions pretty well, or sufficiently. Ellie has one more comment or question. Tinfoil hat, not really a theory. So she's just like, this would be cool, but it's kind of jokingly. Qyburn, the anti-Samwell, ends up exiled somewhere with a bunch of books and figures out the children's magic and makes his own band of White Walkers. And we're back to the beginning. Yeah, I feel like they need to. I feel like they set up something with Qyburn and how interested he was with the whites, with the white, and I feel like he's gonna do some research. I was afraid that he might be able to learn how to revive some people, make some more whites that way. That would be terrifying. I don't know if he's. I hope he's not dumb enough to make more White Walkers. That would be pretty bad. Or make another one at Night King. That would. I feel like that might. I'm hoping, yeah, for a more political thing, like you said earlier in your other comment, in your rant, that we do enjoy these human moments much more. I do think, yeah, that the Night King is more of a one-note villain, kind of like Voldemort, I guess. He was never meant to have like too many motivations. I know Jessica mentioned that like she was on Patreon that she was kind of disappointed that the Night King didn't have a better source of motivation, that we didn't really. He was just kind of like a big bad, and that was it. But yeah, I understand. This was a great episode, guys. I don't even know what else to say about that. Guys, I am dying out here. I think that's all I'm gonna say about this episode. This has been the longest discussion we've ever done, by even longer than that moment when I figured I kind of was theorizing Jon's parents were Rhaegar and Lyanna. But yeah, I understand if you guys don't like the parts of the episode. I understand if you love the episode. I understand. Just I hope people saying how they feel about the episode doesn't affect you too much and lets you enjoy the episode less if you enjoyed it. But yeah, this was great for me. I'm happy about this episode, and I can't wait to see what happens in the next few. But yeah, I'm tired and I can't even think straight now at this point. So sorry about. This is the way I'm going to conclude this. Yeah, 6 direwolves. Finally, an episode with a full score, and I'm glad I saved it for this episode, because if I had made it high, if I had made any of the episodes before 6, I would have to break my scale and go to 7, because this was just too cool. Yeah, I'm very happy with this episode, and thanks for watching, guys. Can't wait for the last 3 episodes of this season, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye, friends.